Hello and welcome to the Homebrew Wizards All Grain Cheap DIY Brewery. This is part 1, which is the boiler. So the parts we're going to be using to make this boiler are a length of copper pipe, 2 Tesco value kettles, which are about £5 each, a sturdy 33 litre fermenter with spigot fitted, about £11 then for the homebrew shop. Tools we're going to be using today: we're using a 38mm hole cutter, crosshead electrical screwdriver, soldering iron and drill. Obviously, if you're going to be using power tools, I wouldn't recommend drinking homebrew before you start. So we'll start with the kettle. We'll leave the base for now, and we'll start with the actual kettle itself. So if we turn the kettle over, there's 2 Phillips screws on the base. We're going to do these 2 Phillips screws and remove the panel that's covering the element switchgear. There's 2 screws that actually hold the switch on, so we'll undo them and just move the switch to one side. And that then allows us access to the 3 screws that are holding the element and switchgear on. We'll undo these 3 screws, and the element will come off one side and the switchgear off the other. That'll leave the seal that's in the kettle, which we'll use in a little while. On the other side of the switchgear, there is a disc which we remove. This disc cuts out the switch when the kettle reaches boiling temperature. Obviously, we don't want the switch to be cutting out every time it starts to boil. So we cut the 2 38mm holes into the fermenter side. We want the 2 elements quite close together to create thermals in the bucket when we're making our beer. Just need to trim any swarf on edges, burrs, etc. off with a sharp knife, and then we can fit our seal. We can then refit the switchgear and the elements. And at this point, once we've refitted them, I'd fill the bucket with water and check for any leaks. If you do have any leaks, you can put a little bit of PTFE tape around the so they can seal, just to help it seal better. Or you might have a burr there that's causing it to leak. So once we've got no leaks, we can then wire the 2 elements up. So remove the base off the kettle, and we can see the flex which goes into a junction box. Just carefully remove the crimps from the junction box. We'll have 3 wires, live, neutral, earth, same as a plug. What we do with these wires is we just open them up a little bit on the crimps, and that will enable us to put them over the electrical connections that are coming out the back of the switchgear for the element. They are marked up, so if you're confident with wiring or putting a plug on, you should have no problem with that. If you just close the crimps around them, it goes on quite tight, but what I also did was put a blob of solder on each one just to make sure that it stayed in place. Now you can buy a kettle socket from Maplin's, about £3 each, a hot condition socket which will fit straight onto them 3 prongs, so you can wire the flex to that if you wish, but I'm trying to do it as cheap as possible, so I'm just doing it the cheapest way. So then we make the hot filter, which will go on the back of the spigot to filter out the material. So just cut a length of copper pipe, hammer over the end, mark out the holes we're going to drill with a hammer and a nail, and then drill the holes with a 1.5mm drill. Shape the end to fit tightly into the back of the spigot, and then we'll just stick it in the back of the spigot, and that's the hot filter done. So I filled the fermenter up with 25 litres of stone cold water and switched on both the elements. So you're starting to heat up the water there. After about 20 minutes, the water got really hot. And then after about half an hour, we got to a full boil. Again, I checked for leaks just to make sure as it's boiling, which was fine. So we can see here that it's boiling quite well, the water. This is after 30 minutes. So at this point we can actually switch one of the elements off, which will just bring us to a nice rolling boil, which is what we need when we're making our wort for our beer. If you have any questions, you can post them on my website, www.homebrewwizard.com. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Thanks, bye.